Hey y'all, it's your girl Coach Kinsley. Today we're going to be doing some fat loss mythbusters.
Coach, I was just having this big piece of apple pie because I did my run today in prep for the half marathon in October. So I figured they balance out, don't they?
Not exactly.
Uh-oh, I better tighten it up. It's time to learn some stuff. Let's get to podding.
Let's get it.
Welcome to 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. I'm producer Mike, senior editor for the podcast, and a former client of Coach Kinsley's who benefited from every rep until I heard,
3, 2, 1, let's go! Remember to always consult your physician before starting any nutrition or fitness regimen.
It's a longer run than usual today. Let's balance that out with some apple pie, especially on these runs. I guess that's not right. And I thought, hey, can't I eat whatever I want when I'm working out?
That's a good question, and you're definitely not alone in that question. Unfortunately, you cannot eat whatever you want as long as you exercise. You can consider that myth busted. So the majority of your caloric expenditure is not going to be during your time exercising. It's going to be in all the rest of the time. Out of 24 hours a day, you're only working out maximum like 2 of those hours, right?
Yeah, maybe. Usually I like to keep mine to an hour, although now that I'm adding runs to my workout days. So yeah, it's about 2.
Right. So you might burn 250 to 700 calories on the high end in your exercise. But if that's your most active time and you have a much more, let's say, relaxed lifestyle besides your 30 minutes to 2 hours at the gym, then you might be putting yourself into a caloric surplus if you're just eating whatever you want.
Surplus. And I do tend to be sitting on my behind for most of the day at my university gig that I do. So no donut snack because I ran in the morning and then did resistance training at noon. I can't have that Twinkie, those Twinkies.
No
'Cause
way.
I love them.
No, you'll want to fuel your workout. If you are specifically looking to lose fat, think about it like simple math. 1 pound is approximately 3,500 calories. To safely lose fat, you'll want to have about a 500 calorie deficit per day.
500 calorie deficit a day for 7 days is 3,500 calories. And then I could be assured I keep it off because it's not crazy water weight or I'm not sitting around in a sweat bag trying to drop water weight. That doesn't count, but it's a caloric deficit that's going to help me lose pounds safely and effectively.
Right. So you would lose 1 pound safely in 1 week. And that's why if you work out, but then eat whatever you want, the likeliness of you being in that deficit is low. Your workout is very, very important. What you eat is more important.
All right, coach, say 2 days of working out. I don't find myself in the caloric deficit. Can't I just not eat? Maybe have like a almond and half a grape, do my regular workouts, and then I'd catch up and then I'd be all even or I'd lose weight. Is that how that works?
Man, so I'm glad you asked. You should not starve yourself. So, starving yourself, especially for long periods of time, will negatively affect your basal metabolic rate or those passive calories that you burn by just existing. And also, you're not going to keep it off. When you go back to your normal lifestyle, you'll go back to the weight you were at during that normal lifestyle. So, it is much better to look at your deficit daily, though the end of the week is important. I wouldn't recommend, across the board, no certified nutritionist, nutrition coach, no dietitian is going to recommend anything less than 1,200 calories per day. And this is absolute minimum. With that being as general as it is, if you're a really active person or just a really tall person, this shouldn't be your minimum either. Like me standing at a towering 4'11", I still shouldn't have less than 1,200 calories a day when I'm at a caloric deficit.
So, in order to stay mighty, coach, that's what you need.
I need more than that because I have an active lifestyle. I need significantly more than that. But if I had less than that, then I would consider that starving. I would consider that a very low caloric diet. If you're doing that overly restrictive diet for a long amount of time, then you're looking at increased risks of malnutrition, poor energy, poor concentration, because you got to remember food isn't just about how you look. Food is fuel, and carbohydrates, that's fueling your brain as well. So your concentration is going to suffer if you're not fueling your brain properly.
I think that's a very important to bring up, Coach, that when you're cutting carbs, you're cutting glucose, which fuels your brain, and you're going to be logy. Trying to do any sort of work, mental, physical, whatever, you're going to need that brain to be fueled up and ready to go.
And that brings us to the next myth. Do carbohydrates make me fat? The answer is no. Carbohydrates do not make you fat. Carbohydrates are a necessary nutrient for your body, metabolism. We've had a whole episode about fiber. That's under the carbohydrate category as well, which will aid in your digestion.
So just real quick, Coach, if they're good for you in moderate amounts, what happens when you eat too many? Or when do they turn bad?
So when you eat too many of any of the macronutrients, carbs, proteins, or fats, it's going to be stored as fat. Anything in excess is going to be stored as fat, whether it's a carb, protein, or fat. But the thing about carbs where it gets tricky is that sugar falls under the carb category. Too much sugar is going to affect you negatively. And then there's a lot of processed foods that are readily available. The type of carb that you're getting is not going to fuel you as well as a less processed carbs like your fruits, your vegetables, your rice, your less processed carbs.
I know, Coach, in our fats episode, we covered different fats and how some are good, some are bad, and some are terrible for you. I would go back and listen to that again for a review.
Yeah, that's kind of the same idea. The quality of carb you're getting is important. Not cutting the whole entire group. Please do not cut a whole entire macronutrient group out of your diet. You will suffer.
And that's what I understand is the keto diet, that you're not eating carbs in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, so the keto diet is high protein and high fat diet with low carbs. And for those of you who have tried it, you might remember a portion of your experience going through what they call the keto flu. And that feeling where you are literally sick, your body's crying out for carbs, is what will happen if you cut carbs out. And you should listen to your body. Your body doesn't like that. It's not a sustainable diet. So if you're looking for a way to quickly lose fat, the keto diet has been shown to work quickly. It has not been shown to be sustainable, and it has not been shown to be the best of the diets for a lifestyle change.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. A lifestyle change is fundamentally changing your nutrient mix, your exercise, your fitness level, your rest, your recovery, all of it. That's a lifestyle change to me, Coach. And the quick fix of a keto diet may work in the short term, as you said, and as it's been shown. Long term, you're going to have to readjust your nutrients anyway. So why not just start out doing it? Just be consistent over time. In that time, keep your nutrients and your fitness, keep that under tension. And that to me has worked for me. And I have not tried any of the other diets that I've seen, keto, carnivore.
Fad diets.
And not tried any of the other fad diets. I stay consistent in what I'm doing, and it's worked for me. And I was sort of the worst case scenario: poor health, poor body image, poor weight control, poor fitness, poor everything. Gravy, goodness, gravy. It was a sad state of affairs when I started walking and created my first habit, and then started with Coach Kinsley and really kind of kicked it into overdrive. Yeah, I would recommend that. It's just being consistent with a good nutrient mix. And part of that, Coach, too, is education, is learning what that means and what that is, and fueling your body and knowing what to feed it and when to feed it. And then I know it's difficult. You take sort of emotional eating and situational eating when you're sitting in the office and somebody says, "Hey, I brought donuts today."
It's tough.
You're like, I have old pictures of me on my phone, and every now and then I'll go back and look and say, that's not me anymore. So, I have my snacks. I know I'm going to work out at noon. So let's go.
Let's go. And for our listeners that are new here, if you're not sure what we mean by macronutrients or you want to learn more about it, please go back and listen to our episode Intro to Macronutrients.
So, Coach, I found that throughout the day, I'm fueling myself, I'm hitting my workouts, I'm staying hydrated, I'm getting rest. But when I was losing the weight initially, way back when, I mean, it's been a couple of years now, Coach, that I wasn't able to sleep because I was hungry. And either from working out, from not eating enough, from not hydrating enough way back when, before I really got my act together. So I started eating at night, a snack, a protein shake, just something that would fuel my recovery. Is that the right thing to say, or am I making myself fat by eating at night?
No, eating at night does not make you fat. So going back to the math, a pound equals about 3,500 calories. So if you are eating more than you need to, 3,500 calories more than you need to at the end of the week, that's when you'll gain a pound of fat. But let's say I've been in the situation before where I was able to have breakfast and not a big fancy one, let's say just some eggs and potatoes, right? And then I'm just so busy. Like I'm not eating anything until 7 p.m. There's no enzyme in my body that's like, oh, it's 7 p.m. If you eat now, you're in trouble. No, I've only had those calories in the morning. So if I come home and I have 1,000 calories in one sitting, as long as I'm not in a caloric surplus, I'm A-okay. The timing of your food is not as important as the portions.
Okay, so then consistency over time with my nutrients and thinking about it as in a calorie in and a calorie out. So if I eat 3,000 calories for the day, well, that's a lot, is
Depending on how much you burn.
Okay, say then it's 2,000 calories for the day, but then I'm working out, I'm both running and resistance training, and then I have my passive calories. As long as if I go 500 in deficit, and I do that over a week, that's 3,500 calories, that's 1 pound. And that will always be 1 pound, regardless of when I eat it and how I eat it.
Exactly. The timing does not matter. You should eat however is best for you. Some people like having 3 meals. Some people like having 5. I used to plan more calories for the evening because I enjoy eating late specifically. I'll have what I call my first dinner and then my second dinner. As long as your calories are not putting you at that surplus, you're good to go. You can relax.
Now, back in the day, I would have my 3 full meals and then it would roll into nighttime and Seinfeld would come on. I was like, hey, I'm going to have 2 big bowls of cereal that are just not very good for you. I don't think Captain Crunch is on anybody's nutritious cereal list. And so that would put me into big surplus. And was part of my problem.
Right. Like you said, I wouldn't consider that super nutritious. So maybe a different snack. Maybe you should have cut some of your calories in the morning so you can backload your day, just knowing that that's how it was going to go. Because if you enjoy your snacks while watching TV in the nighttime and that's your me time, quality and portion. That's the golden rule right there. So just make sure your portions line up so that you can have that at the end of the day. And some quality snacks, just side note, quality snacks for casual watching. I would suggest like popcorn. I'm not talking no Act 2 butter lovers, etc. extreme butter.
Love some butter lovers.
No, ideally popcorn that, you made yourself. Let's say just a little sea salt, like air popped. That's a really good light snack to have at any time, really.
I'm a butter loving fool,
then,
Coach. How can I just go with an air pop light snack? Well, but I guess if I just want a snack, that's a good way to go.
yeah. You can have celery instead.
Yeah, I can. A little peanut butter that's still sweet, still crunchy, still good stuff.
You know what I've been doing nowadays? I've been doing celery and then I'll put some fish, like tuna, on top of the celery, like a little boat.
Poor celery. It just wanted some peanut butter. What do you gotta go with fish for? Oh, Coach.
Get that protein.
All right, CK, hit us up with the highlights.
All right, the highlights. So you cannot eat whatever you want as long as you're exercising. Portions are very important, but you should also not starve yourself. Make sure you eat your carbs, eat your fats, and eat your proteins within proper portion, and the timing does not matter. Whether you eat in the morning, eat in the night, eat all day, as long as you are not putting yourself into a caloric surplus, then you won't gain weight.
Can I put myself up in a fish deficit, Coach?
If you insist. Thank you so much for joining us today on 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. The fun doesn't need to stop here. Email me at coach@coachkinsley.com. You can check out my webpage, coachkinsley.com, and also find me on Instagram at, you guessed it, Coach Kinsley. Your girl. See you next week. The 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley is a production of Greyhawk Enterprise, LLC.